We begin with high drama out there on the 405 and the west side today as a monster crane tumbles onto the freeway, blocks all the lanes northbound, nearly crushing vehicles as it came down. Rescue crews did manage to save the crane operator, while a gigantic parking lot of frustrated drivers out there waits and waits and waits.
And after hours of waiting, some of those drivers could wait no more. They found creative and legally questionable ways to leave the freeway and leave that nightmare traffic jam behind. Good evening, everyone. I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Paul Moyer. It is the busiest interchange on the planet. It is bad on a good day, and today, forget about it. Tonight, after all those hours, northbound traffic on the 405, it's open at the crash scene, but still backed up all the way into Westwood, perhaps back to the 90. The only good news here, nobody was killed. Channel 4's Conan Nolan out there in the middle of it in Sherman Oaks to sort it all out for us tonight. Conan.
Well, Paul, first of all, it looks from this point it's very slow, but traffic is now moving along the 405. However, the northbound 405 transition to the eastbound Ventura Freeway, that remains closed. Behind me, you see they're using a second crane to try to right this first crane, which toppled over this afternoon. Now, Caltrans, Cal OSHA, the CHP, they still have yet to figure out exactly what happened here. This accident resulting in 3 people going to the hospital, and as you pointed out, the closing of lanes on the nation's busiest freeway for hours. Witnesses say it was an explosion of metal against concrete engulfed in a cloud of dirt.
Oh, a big dirt, I guess I saw just the dirt fly up in the air, and everyone was switching to a halt.
A construction crane used for the widening of the 405-101 interchange in Sherman Oaks toppled shortly after 1 o'clock this afternoon. The boom ending up across all northbound lanes of the San Diego freeway.
I saw it fall over the freeway. It was like a movie. Next thing I know, it falls on the truck, and the SUV slammed into it, and we all pulled to the side.
The operator of the crane was stuck inside the cab. LA City Fire's urban search and rescue team stationed nearby was quick on the scene for the extraction, which took 45 minutes.
What they had to do was actually lift the crane and then pull out the generator so that they could, as the USAR task forces were cutting, the heavy rigging was pulling that thing up and holding the crane up. And we were able to cut enough steel away and then lift and then pull that out so that we were able to extricate the person, got him onto the air ambulance and got him away to the hospital.
In the meantime, the Highway Patrol was trying to sort out chaos on the freeway. At the time of the crash, a dump truck and an SUV collided in the center divider, trying to avoid the boom. The truck driver suffered minor to moderate injuries and was taken to the hospital, as was this woman, a passenger in the SUV. The driver of that vehicle, however, was nowhere to be found. Authorities say she left the scene.
The driver of the Chevy Tahoe actually fled the scene and ran across all southbound lanes of traffic and left the scene, and we don't know why.
Northbound traffic along one of the nation's busiest freeway interchanges was shut down for over 3 hours. Traffic backed up through the Sepulveda Pass through West LA and beyond. The 101 connector lane remains closed. That's expected to be reopened within the hour, giving Cal OSHA and the CHP an opportunity to figure out how a Caltrans project designed to make life easier on the freeway resulted in just the opposite. Back here live, it appears they're using they're trying to extract or separate the boom from the crane itself so they can get the crane upright. Once again, this particular part of the project does not appear to be impacting traffic other than the connector road from the 405 onto the 101. As for the operator of the crane, we are told that he suffered minor to major injuries. It does not appear they are life-threatening, though. Once again, this is all under investigation, this accident. What a way to start the weekend. Conan Nolan, reporting live from Sherman Oaks, Channel 4 News.
Yeah, Conan, as you well know, even though the freeway is open, the surface streets there on the west side, they are jammed, especially Sepulveda, Sunset, Mulholland, streets like that. It's going to be felt for a long time. Anybody caught in that massive traffic jam today on the 405 can tell you how frustrating it really was. And not every driver handled the stress all that well. Chip Page, live in News Chopper 4 up above, thankfully for him, with more on that. Chip.
Believe me, Paul, plenty of traffic up here, but what you're looking at now is a live shot off News Chopper 4 of what the freeway looks like as you're coming down into the San Fernando Valley. Now, we want to cut to some tape. Obviously, a very frustrating look here, but take a look at what some drivers were doing earlier today. You see people actually getting off the freeway on this tape and really four-wheeling, if you will, or going off-roading, if you will. And now, first of all, extremely dangerous here for several reasons. One, these roads not approved for regular travel. Two, the emergency services in the area always very, very tied up in a situation like this, trying to solve the problem that created the traffic jam. Should you get into trouble in a situation like this, you could become stranded for quite some time while emergency services try to get to you, struggling with the problem that, of course, created the original issue, all this traffic. Let's go back outside to a live shot off News Chopper 4 and talk about the 405 for a minute. A very, very difficult drive, all arteries northbound. Most Angelenos know all of our freeways well over capacity. Of course, this afternoon, the 405 really coming to a halt. All other arteries, just plan on a very, very long afternoon commute if you're going to make your way into the San Fernando Valley or parts north of the west side. That's the latest from Overhead News Chopper 4. I'm Chip Page. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Chip, thank you.
A crane falls over right onto the 405 freeway, trapping a worker, triggering a crash, and bringing traffic to a 3-hour standstill. Taking a live look now from Air 7, traffic is finally moving again, but slowly. Good evening. I'm Michelle Tuzzi.
I'm Mark Brown. This is Eyewitness News at 6 o'clock as firefighters work to free that trapped crane operator. The traffic just kept backing up behind the accident for miles, a major headache for tens of thousands of drivers. The arm of the crane fell on the northbound lanes of the 405 freeway at the Sherman Oaks Galleria. Eyewitness News reporter Leo Stallworth has been on top of this story from the beginning. He joins us live near the scene with an update. Leo.
Yes, Mark, we are just below the 405 freeway, not far from where the accident happened on the freeway, creating a traffic disaster. Now here's more on the traffic and the accident. Authorities say for whatever reason, the crane fell on its side around 1 this afternoon in the middle of a work site to expand the northbound lanes of the 405 near Sepulveda and Ventura Boulevards in Sherman Oaks. They say the cabin of the crane collapsed, trapping the operator inside.
At that point, we're better able to extricate him from the top, cut a little bit more, push a little bit of the metal around because we have both jaws and spreaders, lifted him out, and then got him over to the air ambulance and transported him out.
What kind of danger was he in inside of that cabin?
Well, he was being smashed pretty well, so we needed to get him out of there because he had a lot of pressure on his body, and there's a lot of things that can happen to you. Crush syndrome, a lot of different things. But our paramedics were already established lines, and we're taking care of him, so we're in case of any eventuality of problems with crush syndrome, and they got him out and moved down the line.
After the crane operator was airlifted to a hospital, the northbound 405 remained closed for several more hours, continuing a traffic nightmare. Eventually, a few lanes reopened. However, traffic is still an absolute horror.
Took me 3 hours to get here from Beverly Hills. So.
Oh my goodness, it's just a mess.
Yeah, exactly. Very bad. It's still bad. It's getting worse.
Were you on that 405 at all, man?
Yes, I was, and I missed my client's appointment. Pissed off.
How long were you stuck in that mess?
I've been on it for 3 hours. 3 hours.
Pretty frustrating.
Yeah, I'm on my way to the office, so whatever happened, I don't know if a crane dropped, but I was real annoyed.
Yeah, and when that crane toppled over, the arm of the crane landed in the northbound lanes of the 405, causing a couple of accidents. Luckily, no motorists were seriously injured, but it just created to the mess that has been on the 405. It is still a mess. So, folks, if you're going to be getting on the 405 anytime soon, just be careful and just be prepared to take your time. Live in Sherman Oaks, Leo Starr with ABC 7 Eyewitness News. Mark and Michelle, back to you.
Okay, Leo, thank you. We're going to take a look at the situation now from above in Air 7. Bill Thomas to tell us what's happening now. Bill?
Yeah, Michelle, still a painful drive here for the San Diego Freeway. This is the northbound 405, a little before the 101. You can see the main line of the freeway, the 3 right lanes, they're all open there, but the ones next to the 3 left lanes are open. All the right lanes are taken away, and those are the lanes that take traffic from the north 405 onto either side of the east or westbound 101. Now, look behind us. Traffic is just miserable in the Sepulveda Pass. Traffic is backed up all the way to Washington Boulevard out of Culver City. Let's go to our traffic tracker map now. Traffic on a Friday night is always a mess anywhere. Right side of the screen on the 405 northbound out of Culver City into the Valley. Valley is just terrible. Pacific Coast Highway, we saw that as an alternate as well. PCH northbound out of Santa Monica up toward Topanga Canyon or Malibu Canyon. That's a way to get into the San Fernando Valley, but PCH is just inching along. The 101 and Interstate 5 are both a mess as well. Be extremely patient. Back to our live shot, and there's the backup on the 405. Live from Air 7, I'm Bill Thomas, ABC 7 Eyewitness News, and Mark and Michelle, back to you.